Greetings from sunny LA. This is Craig Wilson. I'm coming to you via the YWAM base in Los Angeles. You can see that I'm definitely in Los Angeles and not in Minnesota. I hope you don't get too scared by the close-up here. As you can see, I've also changed my attire. I'm trying to blend in the best I can to the Hollywood crowd here. Doing the best I can. As you are watching this, however, I'm actually going to be on the Tennessee-North Carolina border in the Smoky Mountains on our way to Raleigh, North Carolina. That's why I needed to do this remote broadcast, because I won't have easy access to do any Skyping or probably even to get cell phone service. But we'll do our part, and I know that you're in good hands with Mr. Brace, and that he will definitely make sure that we stay on task here. Today what we're going to be doing is looking at the third part of our financial plan. In this case, Mr. Potter, the landlord, is actually offering to sell us the building for $400,000. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding some 3 years, to be precise, to our forecast to see when it makes sense for us to actually purchase the building as opposed to renting it. For those of you that have had managerial accounting, you'll realize that a lot of our costs that we've been dealing with are either variable or fixed, and rent would be considered to be a fixed cost. This should whet the appetite for those of you that are yet to take managerial accounting to know that you've got this exciting stuff ahead of you. But a variable cost varies directly with the amount of sales. For example, our cost of goods sold would be a variable cost. We've set up our supplies as variable costs, that as the sales activity increases, those costs increase, and conversely, if sales activity is less, those costs go down. Rent, on the other hand, would be a fixed cost, meaning that no matter what the sales activity is, our rent is going to be the same regardless. Now, a finer point to fixed costs in managerial accounting is that a fixed cost is what we call fixed within a relevant range. And what that means is that after a certain amount of activity, your fixed costs have to increase. And when a fixed cost increase, it doesn't usually increase in small increments, but it takes a big jump. This is the case with rent. What we're doing in this scenario is that we actually will find the point where we max out the space that we're in, and now all of a sudden we have to rent the next part of the building that we're in, and so our rent will actually double at that point in time. In the scenario I have, the building is partitioned off into 3 different potential spaces for us to use, each of equal size, and so when we hit 100 customers, we have to now rent a new section of the building, which doubles our rent. So we go 4,000, we add another 4,000 to rent at that point, and it doubles our utilities on that space. So that's the first thing that we look at is, and if we actually get up to 200 customers, we have to fill up the whole building. At that point we've capped out, and now we have the entire building, so our rent again will go up again by another 4,000 and our utilities by 600. The other costs that change, we're going to continue to go along with our other assumptions, adding a new clerk or a new employee for $32,000 a year every 40 customers. We're going to add another widget maker for every 50 customers that we add. So we have to add the cost of the depreciation there, the cost of the new employee. Those things change as we go along. And we add a new computer for every employee. Telephone and internet expenses, I'm saying they're going to stay the same, that we have capacity built into what we've done. Your other fixed costs will stay the same over the relevant range here that we have. But I do want to talk just very briefly about a third level of costs, and that's what I call a stepped cost. These costs will go up in increments. You'll take steps, they won't be as large as the big chunk of a stepped cost. And hopefully you've identified what these are. These would be the extra employees we're adding. In other words, within our relevant range, every so often we have to add a new employee. Because they're not paid hourly, it's an all or nothing proposition. All of a sudden we step up another $32,000 a year for a new employee. So that these costs take big steps at a time, but they're all still happening within our relevant range, the relevant range being the first 100 customers or every 100 customers, where suddenly we have to go up with rent. So that's the first part of it, is incorporating the 3 extra years for renting. And then after that we're going to incorporate, we're going to do this with our most likely scenario first, our best case scenario next, and then we have to compare it with actually buying the building. And so we'll work through that in a little bit, but when we buy the building we incur some different costs. Our rent cost obviously goes away, but now we're going to be actually having to pay for a mortgage, pay for some additional expenses that are covered with the rent that we now have to cover ourselves. So with that, let's get ready to get started here.